the board, is that the right title? And to all of the board members here for carrying on with the mission of the Irish Heritage Museum, to be able to share the stories and to preserve the folklore and to be able to continually inspire others about the heritage that you bear. You know, we look at the American quilt and we see each patch being added as the mosaic continues to grow. And I think the beauty of the uniqueness of this quilt is that we all have this sense of heritage that we can share. It's a gift that sustains us, defines us, nurtures us. And like any gift, when it's exchanged, it has its greatest value. So thank you to the wonderful richness of this Heritage Museum for sharing those cultural aspects of the quilt that is Irish American. And for the great numbers that you amass in this nation, there's a great bit of heritage that is celebrated. One coming up real soon with the Albany Parade, so I think that's March 15th. So anyhow, we're celebrating heritage here today in a unique format. I want to thank my friend and former colleague, Jack McEnany, for leading us with the pledge, former assembly member who represented this Albany area for 20 years in the state assembly, and before that, many unique roles that provided great leadership for the community. So thank you, Jack. And again, thank you to our friends here as hosts at the Irish Heritage Museum. I just came from the naturalization ceremony over at the courthouse. And talk about the emotion that you sense. Your sense of immigrant, your immigrant nature comes right to the fore when you witness these powerful ceremonies. Smiling faces, pounding hearts, children in awe of their parents as they come up and receive an American flag and their certificate of naturalization, and everyone is advancing that story. And it continues. It's what is the greatest passion feed in our society. America is so well served by the passion of her immigrants. And so today we celebrate that passion, we celebrate the richness of heritage, and we will be speaking to the essential need of immigration reform. I'm joined by many people who will be introducing, but I thank you all for this warm welcome and for joining us here at the museum. And I hope we can use this opportunity to reflect on our own personal and collective histories as a nation of immigrants. I'd like also to thank those who are with me behind this podium this morning to call on leadership in the House of Representatives to work with the Senate, which has done a bipartisan measure to pass meaningful, and comprehensive immigration reform. You know, the vast majority of Americans, Republicans and Democrats, support comprehensive immigration reform. Polls have fallen in the vicinity of anywhere from 70 to 79% in favor of reform. I support a comprehensive reform strategy that will end unauthorized entry and effectively address the reality that some 12 million undocumented immigrants are currently living within our borders. As I travel across the district, I hear from a wide coalition of groups that are in favor of immigration reform. While those in Washington like to tout what immigration reform can do for them, and the benefits are many, I like to include what immigration reform does for all of us. The tech community that wants to ensure their existing employees, they may have temporary work status, will be able to stay and continue to contribute to the success of our recovery here and our economic strength in the given capital region. The New York State Farm Bureau and family farms across the state that depend on steady access to legal labor that maintains our nation's secure food supply. Religious leaders across the region that know our communities are strongest when we work to keep families together and reach out a hand to those in need. Nothing is more torturous than when you're dealing with constituent concerns that would actually break apart families. That is not America. I would strongly suggest that is not the America we love. Civics groups that understand a pathway to citizenship is essential in any immigration reform effort. We have to bring millions of people out of the shadows and give them a stakeholdership in the country they now call home. We need to provide that hope, which is the greatest commodity we can feed them. If not, we risk creating a permanent second class of United States residents, and this bill truly makes people earn citizenship, which is sometimes denied in the conversations. Those whose top issue is deficit reduction should also get on board with immigration reform. Why? Because the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has reported that the Senate immigration bill, which is bipartisan in flavor, will save us close to $1 trillion, some, I believe, $875 billion worth of deficit reduction. This is a policy that shrinks our deficit through economic growth, not budget cuts. There are those who think we can move forward and grow economically strong through cuts, cut our way to prosperity. This is a way to grow ourselves, upwardly bound, with passion on our side to make a difference in our economic recovery. That's the type of policy we must consider to improve our government's long-term financial outlook without balancing our budget on the backs of seniors, students, and working families. We're a nation of immigrants. It was less than 100 years ago that many of our grandparents or great-grandparents came over here, ready to contribute to strengthen America in pursuit of opportunity, in pursuit of establishing ladders of opportunity. I'm a grandson of immigrants. My grandfather, William Tonko, served in World War I, and I believe we would be living in a different world right now if we treated immigrants in the 20th century the way we treat them in this century. On the backs of my immigrant grandfather, and millions like him, we wrote a history of freedom, a history of opportunity, and a history of the potential to be the greatest nation in the world for centuries to come. I'm proud of that history. I'm proud that he left his roots in Poland for America. There would be this American dream waiting for him. And certainly he would be able to achieve that through hard work and kindness that he would share with others. Hard work and kindness. These are two things you don't see out of House leadership these days. And those are two things our nation sorely needs today. The House Immigration Bill, H.R. 15, is a bipartisan bill that I support. It has some 197 co-sponsors, and it's very similar to the Senate legislation, which passed with bipartisan support in a 68-32 vote back in June. What are we waiting for? When we see a bill that has that level of support, we know it will pass if it is placed on the House floor. However, we have yet to see House leadership give the legislation the vote that it deserves, that our nation and those pursuing the American dream deserve. With that, I will turn it over to those up here with me this morning who can speak more specifically and with passion again to how immigration reform will improve our communities in the capital region. Hundreds of business groups and companies have offered support for comprehensive immigration reform. We hear it across the nation expressed with a very resounding voice. Aside from playing a tremendous role in our workforce, many immigrants embody the entrepreneurial spirit that has made America great. Immigration will fuel the economic engine of our economy, small businesses. According to the Small Business Administration, nearly 30% of all new business owners in New York are immigrants. Let me repeat that. Nearly 30% of all new business owners in New York State are immigrants. And 40% of all Fortune 500 companies were started by either a first or second generation American. So it's important to the business community. It's important to small business as our economic engine. It's important to commerce. Here to speak about those dynamics is Mark Egan.